Joe Jordan, reporter with Nebraska Watchdog, get all the updates, link right there at KFAB.com, went ahead and asked the Senate candidates, what do you think about this policy? What do you think should happen to this kid? Joe, welcome to News Radio 1110 KFAB. It's always good to have you on.
Thanks, Scott. Good morning.
What made you think to ask this question?
Your program.
Well, thank you. Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
listening. So you're trying to find some sort of clear delineation policy-wise or viewpoint-wise between the four main Senate hopefuls on the Republican side. And so what'd you do, corner them all or send them emails? How did that work?
Emails and phone calls, basically. In this race, as you know, all the four candidates on, whether it's, gun control or immigration or, national defense, Social Security, you pick the issue, and it's pretty hard to differentiate some of these candidates from what we currently know. And when you started talking about this UNO gun issue, it got me to thinking to see where these guys come down, because they all profess to be staunch supporters of the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms. So I started contacting the campaigns, quickly heard back from Shane Osborne, who told me that, in fact, he made the point that both he and his wife have the concealed carry permits, and he made the point quickly that he believes that an individual like the student at UNO should be allowed to have weapons in the dorm room.
Yeah,
go ahead.
The quote to you was, the student in question, and all students for that matter, should be able to lawfully store firearms and ammunition in their dorm rooms. These types of bans only punish law-abiding citizens. That is pretty cut and dried right there. There's no room for ambiguity in that statement. Shane Osborne says that this kid, and he faces a felony, this UNO student.
Yes, it seems unlikely, but according to the statute, he's looking at the possibility of 5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. That would be the maximum.
Holy smokes. Okay, so Shane Osborne comes out very much in favor of this kid. I mean, this seems like a red meat issue for someone who wants to be voted in favor of, by fellow conservatives in a hotly contested Senate primary. So Shane Osborne comes out and tells you that. What about Ben Sasse, considered the other front runner in this race?
Well, the Sasse campaign initially didn't respond. I asked them again if they were going to. They got back to me and issued a statement that said, and here's the quote, that Ben has been endorsed by the gun owners of America because he's a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. But the next sentence was, we have no comment on the policies of UNO. Now, looking into this a little bit further, most people, probably voters in the primary, are aware that Ben Sasse is also the president of Midland University in Fremont. And the policy at Midland University in Fremont is strikingly similar, pretty much mirrors the policy at UNO, where, according to the student handbook, it says that the unauthorized use, possession, or storage of any weapon on campus constitutes a campus violation. No handgun is allowed on the Midland University campus, nor will such a weapon be stored. All weapons are strictly prohibited in students' rooms and elsewhere on campus. Pretty much in line with the UNO policy. So Mr. Sasse's campaign is basically saying, we don't want to talk about UNO, and yet it raises the question is, do they not want to talk about UNO because at Mr. Sasse's own university up in Fremont, they have the same policy.
Yeah, if he comes out and says, oh yeah, this kid should be able to do this, well, then now he's a hypocrite because of the policy at his university there in Fremont. Very, very interesting. And I presume that the Sasse campaign is aware of what the handbook states at Midland University. Have they talked about the fact that UNO and Midland's policies are the same?
I only got that same response, but when I initially asked the question, I did note to them that I was interested in the Midland University policy, but again, the only response I got was, we have no comment on the policies at UNO.
All right, so when you asked the Osborne campaign, the candidate got right back to you. They had a clear answer. When you asked the Sasse campaign, the spokesperson said, Ben's been endorsed by the gun owners of America. He's a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. We have no comment on the policies of UNO.
That's right.
I don't want to be made to look here like I'm playing favorites in this race because I'm not. I would think, and I don't want to put words in Ben Sasse's mouth, and I would think if he's going to come out and say, look, all these institutions can set their own policies, and we support the institutions setting their own policies, even if we disagree with them. That could be a factor of whether or not you choose to attend UNO for college classes, and that would be your choice. But Ben Sasse isn't saying any of that. I'd understand if he said it, but he's not. So we just are left to wonder right now. So you asked the other main candidates for the Republicans in the Senate race. What did Bart McClay have for you?
Well, McClay basically said that he hasn't seen any proposal of such that would request people to change the policy that UNO has. So that wasn't really clear to me. So I followed up and said, and I actually spoke with Mr. McClay on the phone, and I said, so the policy that says the university can prohibit students from having a gun or ammunition in their dorms, you're okay with that? And his response was, quote, I don't see a reason to make any change to the UNO policy that does not allow for guns or ammunition in the dormitory room. I would agree we need to support the Second Amendment to the fullest extent possible on even college campuses if it would mean, for example, allowing retired police officers under an enhanced concealed carry certificate. So he's okay with some weapons on college campuses, especially if it's like a retired off-duty police officer doing security and what have you. But he didn't see any need currently to change the policy that prohibits students from having guns or ammunition in their dorm rooms.
Why is this such a difficult question to answer, especially since criminals have answered the question time and time again? You can put any no guns on campus sign up that you want. You can put anything you want in the handbook, and criminals at colleges, high schools, they keep bringing illegal guns to the campuses, or in the case of this awful situation in Pennsylvania this morning, a knife onto the campus, and they'll do whatever they want with it, and the rest of the people are defenseless because they're trying to abide by the school policy, and they don't want to get in trouble and also not have the opportunity to defend themselves. My opinions on the matter, Joe. Joe Jordan here with us from Nebraska Watchdog. One other candidate in this race, you asked the question, what do you think about the UNO policy not allowing guns on campus? The other candidate would be Sid Dinsdale. What did he have to say?
I don't know because they haven't responded, Scott. So I've got one flat-out no response. Bart McClay indicating he's okay with the current policy. Ben Sasse not commenting specifically about the UNO policy. And Shane Osborne is the only one of the four who clearly took a position, and his position, as we've said several times here, he's okay with guns in college campus dorms.